Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, August 12th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Helps us out a ton. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday, August 12th. First up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. We're going to see Max Fried and Pablo Lopez as the projected starters for now, but no official lineup for this one quite yet, so we could see a pitching change. If these are the starting pitchers, I do like Atlanta in this spot. Pablo Lopez is just not in good form, giving up a lot of base hits lately. I'm not sure if he's tipping his pitchers or what, but in his last two outings against the Cubs and Mets, he's gone 7 2/3 innings. One of those starts was on the road in Chicago, one of them at home in Miami. He gave up a combined 21 base hits, 10 earned runs, a homer, 2 walks, and only 7 strikeouts. So I just can't back Pablo Lopez against a really good Braves lineup. And when you look at the Miami Marlins against left-handed pitching, we've mentioned it all season long, they can't hit lefties. They couldn't hit them in the beginning of the year, and they're not hitting them in the last 30 days. Number 30 in the league, 506 team OPS against southpaws in the last month, and dead last in isolated power as well. Pretty high strikeout rate as a team, actually second highest in the league in the last 30 days, 28.4% for Miami. So against a lefty, I can't trust them, and with Pablo Lopez in bad form, I also can't trust the home team. As much as I'd like to take that plus money, I think the Braves are the better team here. Give me Atlanta on the money line. In our next matchup, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Washington Nationals as Juan Soto and Josh Bell make their return to DC to play their former team for the first time. Now, Mike Clevinger this year is pitching pretty well for San Diego, 3.6 ERA. Hasn't had the best numbers on the road, an ERA above 4. Did struggle quite a bit in his last road start, but that was against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and this Washington Nationals offense is nowhere near as strong as that Dodgers lineup. When you look on the other side, Corey Abbott, he pitched really well in his first start against the Mets back on August 2nd, 5 innings shutout ball, but then we saw him really struggle against the Philadelphia Phillies on the road. 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 7 earned runs, 4 homers, 5 walks. He had no control in that start, and I can't back him against a really strong Padres lineup. They're starting to figure it out. After a little bit of a cold streak offensively with the new additions, we saw the Padres pour down 13 runs on the Giants in the last game of that series. I think the Padres get to Abbott and the Nationals bullpen, and I like the Padres here on the run line on the road. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Toronto Blue Jays with Cal Quantrill and Jose Barrios as the projected starters. Now, Cal Quantrill had a really nice bounce-back start. He was struggling against the Red Sox and D-backs. He went through an 11 1/3 inning span of giving up 9 earned runs and 4 homers. But against the Astros in a 4-1 Guardians win last time out, Quantrill 6 innings shutout ball, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He's not really known to be a strikeout guy, so to get 4 Ks in 6 innings, that's more like him. And the Guardians are winning a lot of the starts that Quantrill has made, and their offense is backing him up. And I think that's going to be the case yet again in this spot. Jose Barrios, an ERA above 5 on the year. Now, I know he's got much better numbers at home this season, an ERA at 3.23, and the Blue Jays have been winning a lot of the games that he started in, but this Guardians line, a very tough one to face. They're very good against right-handed pitching, not so much against lefties, but they'll be facing a righty in Barrios. In the last 30 days, they are above average in team OPS against righties. Isolated power numbers, not as strong, but this is a lineup that doesn't strike out much. You look at their strikeout rate as a team in the last 30 days, 18.7%. So they're going to have to you're going to have to earn it when you face this Guardians lineup. And the 1 through 5 guys, you got Quan, Rosario, Ramirez, Jimenez, and Josh Naylor. Very, very tough outs, and they're a lineup that can definitely string together base hits and bunches and have a big inning at any moment. To me, this game's going to be a competitive one. I like the total being at 9. I think it's going to go over this 9 total, but I think the Guardians compete in this one. I think their bullpen's good enough for this to be a game late. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm going to take the Guardians plus the 1.5 here on the road. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Tampa Bay Rays with Austin Voth and Corey Kluber on the mound. Now, Kluber has faced these Orioles quite a bit lately. 3 of his last 8 starts have been against Baltimore, and I do give the advantage to the lineup. When they're facing a pitcher over and over, they're able to pick up on some things, and we've seen that with the Orioles. You look at the first start on June 19th. It wasn't the first start against the O's of the season, but in the last 8 starts, we saw Baltimore only score 2 runs in 6 innings. Kluber had 6 strikeouts, pitched very well. The next start on July 17th, 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, a homer, and only 3 strikeouts. So the Orioles starting to get to Kluber in that one. The next start, July 25th, Even worse of a start for Kluber, only 5 innings pitched, only 2 strikeouts, 5 total runs, 4 earned runs, 7 hits. It was not a good outing for him, and the Orioles starting to pick up on him. You look at the Orioles in the last 30 days, they are in the top 10 in team OPS against right-handed pitching. The power numbers, isolated power, inside the top 15. So I like them against Kluber here. I think Voth has been good as a starting pitcher, and with the Orioles, I think he's good enough here. I like the Baltimore Orioles on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Chicago White Sox with Daniel Norris and Michael Kopech on the mound. Now, Daniel Norris, more of an opener. He's not going to pitch too deep in this game, maybe 1 to 2 innings at the most. Tigers' bullpen, though, this season has been pretty strong, probably their best asset this year. So I do think against a struggling White Sox offense, the Tigers' pitching staff can do a good enough job here to keep this game low scoring. On the other side, Michael Kopech is a righty, and we know Tigers have really struggled against right-handed pitching this season, especially on the road. And I think Kopech has been pitching a lot better lately. He didn't have a great start against the Rangers, but that was the first rough start we've seen from him in quite some time. He already pitched against these Tigers back on July 10th. 5 1/3 innings, only 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. Not bad at all. That was a 4-2 final score in favor of Chicago. I could see a similar scoreline in this one. I like the White Sox to win it, but that price is a little bit too steep for me. I'm going to take the under in this Tigers-White Sox matchup. Next up, we see the biggest rivalry in sports, the New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox. Domingo Germán and Nathan Eovaldi are your starters for this one. And Nathan Eovaldi's had an inconsistent year. I don't really trust him in this spot in Fenway Park. He's at a 6.81 ERA at home this year, despite owning a pretty decent ERA of 4.23 overall this season. The Yankees are crushing right-handed pitching. I think they can hit a few homers on Nathan Eovaldi and score some runs early on. We know the Red Sox bullpen has really struggled in the last month or so, so I think the Yankees bats show up here. But I'm not really a big fan of Domingo Germán, not striking out a lot of batters. The expected numbers aren't great. His current ERA, 5.09, is not great anyway. He did pitch pretty well against the Cardinals last time, but he doesn't go too deep into games, and the Yankees bullpen has not been the strongest as of late themselves. So I think we see a high-scoring game, a classic Yankees-Red Sox game. Give me the over in Fenway Park, Yankees-Red Sox. Next up, we see an NL East matchup between the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies, two of the hotter teams in baseball. Max Scherzer and Ranger Suarez on the mound, and I'd say Max Scherzer is one of the hotter pitchers in baseball. His ERA now below 2 on the year at 1.98. At home, 1.77. Last start against the Braves, 7 innings, 4 hits, no earned, no walks, 11 strikeouts. He's just in great form. Although Phillies have been pretty good against righties lately, I still have to take Scherzer in this spot, as the Mets are hitting left-handed pitching a lot better in the last month or so. When you look at the isolated power numbers in the top 15, team OPS in the top 10, they don't strike out much as a team, and Ranger Suarez wasn't as sharp as last time out. 5 1/3 against the Nationals, one of the weaker lineups in baseball. 7 hits, 3 earned, a home run in that one. I'm going to take the New York Mets here on the run line. They've been so good at Citi Field. Give me the Mets, and I'll lay the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Texas Rangers. No official starter for the Rangers quite yet, so no official lineout. George Kirby going for the Mariners. I think the Mariners and the Rangers offensively, pretty similar teams, but I give the edge to Seattle in the bullpen by a mile. And I also think George Kirby's going to be a better option in the starting pitching matchup. So I do like Seattle here on the money line. A lot more to play for as well. We know Seattle pushing for the playoff in the American League wildcard race. Rangers have struggled quite a bit in the last month or so. They are now well below 500 on the year. I'm going to take Seattle here, plain and simple. I think George Kirby's going to be better than whoever the Rangers decide to start here. I think the Mariners bullpen is far and above the better option here. When you look at Seattle, they're number 6 in projected WAR and bullpen, while the Rangers near the bottom of the league, ranked 28th. So give me the Seattle Mariners here on the road on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Tony Gonsolin and Daniel Lynch as your starters. Now, Daniel Lynch, a left-handed pitcher, ERA above 4.5 at 4.79, and the Dodgers have just been crushing lefties. 908 team OPS in the last month. It's number 1 in baseball. 245 isolated power is number 2 in baseball, only behind the New York Yankees. They're not striking out much. They're getting on base via the walk, and I think Daniel Lynch is in trouble here. Tony Gonsolin had a really strong bounce-back outing against the Padres at home last start. 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, no earned runs. And Gonsolin's not really going to go too deep into games too often, but the Dodgers bullpen's good enough here. I like LA here. As much as I'd love to fade the public, I think the Dodgers are the play. Give me the Dodgers on the -1.5 run line. In our next contest, we see the Oakland A's taking on the Houston Astros. Another lopsided game in terms of the moneyline price. Houston -335 right now. And as much as I'd love to take the underdog again, the Houston Astros have been so good at home this year. Another win and run line cover at home on Thursday afternoon. And, this is a pretty lopsided pitching matchup. Adam Oller, ERA above 7.5 this season. He has a little bit better numbers on the road, but not by much. And the Astros just crushing lefties and righties overall. They'll be facing the righty in Oller, but he's given up at least 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts and giving up home runs in each of his last 4 starts. I can't trust him here. Give me the Houston Astros on the -2.5 alternate run line at home. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. A pair of lefties on the mound in Eric Lauer and Jordan Montgomery. And the Cardinals played at Coors Field on Thursday afternoon, so they're not going to have any days off before returning home. I usually do like to fade teams' offenses at least when that's the case, as they usually do have a little bit of a lag after getting home from Coors Field series, as the altitude change is a pretty big deal for the players in terms of their adjustment. But I don't really want to take the Milwaukee Brewers in this spot, as they have not hit left-handed pitching at all recently. Jordan Montgomery is sharp in his first start as a Cardinal. And although the Cardinals offense may not go off in this game, I think they do enough against Eric Lauer. The Cardinals are doing really well against lefties this season and in the last 30 days. Number 2 in team OPS with a 902 team OPS. Isolated power number 4. Second in walk percentage, one of the lowest strikeout rates. In fact, the lowest K rate against lefties, 13.9%. We saw them tee off against Kyle Freeland and the Rockies on Wednesday night. And I don't know if they're going to do too much damage against Eric Lauer after that Coors Field series, but I think they do enough to get the win. Give me the Cardinals on the money line and give me the under in this game as well. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Colorado Rockies with Zach Davies and Antonio Senzatella. Now, unlike the last game, I like the over in this one. I think both pitchers could be hit early and often. I don't trust either of these bullpens. I think we see a lot of runs in this game. Arizona does much better against righties than lefties. Although they didn't do a ton of damage against Antonio Senzatella in his last start against them, they still had 9 hits in 7 innings and a home run as well. At Coors Field, I think those numbers are going to be even bigger. I think we see Antonio Senzatella only go about 4 or 5 innings here, and that Rockies bullpen is not really trustworthy. On the other side, Zach Davies has an ERA above 5 in his career at Coors Field, and the Rockies are crushing right-handers as of late. Really wasn't expecting that. We saw them struggle against righties for most of the season, but up until this point, the last 30 days, they have been doing much better against righties than lefties. So I think they get the Davies in this one. I think we see both teams on the board early and often. We have a pretty high total at 12 for a reason, in my opinion. Give me the over, what should be another hot weather game at Coors Field. In our next matchup, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Tyler Mahle and Patrick Sandoval are your projected starters. I'm going to go back with the total here. I'm going to go with the first 5 innings under in this matchup. I think both teams struggle a little bit offensively to start this game. The Minnesota Twins haven't done a ton against lefties as of late in terms of their isolated power and team OPS numbers. It does worry me that Patrick Sandoval does have a pretty high walks per 9 rating. He gave up 4 walks in his last start, but doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Only 4 home runs allowed in 95 innings pitched. Pretty impressive numbers there. 102 Ks in 95 innings is very solid, above a strikeout per 9 innings. He was sharp last time out, even though he had those 4 walks allowed. He went 5 1/3 against the Mariners. Pretty good lineup against lefties. No earned runs and a 4-3 Angels win in extra innings. On the other side, Tyler Mahle's pitched pretty well, and I believe, in his first start with the Twins. Gave up a couple of late runs in that outing, but the Angels haven't done much against righties themselves in the last 30 days. Mahle's numbers on the road have been stronger than at home. Now, most of those starts at home were with Great American with the Cincinnati Reds, but still pitching well on the road, and I think he does a good enough job here to keep this game low scoring at least through the first 5. I don't trust either of these teams' bullpens, so I wouldn't want to take the full game under. Just give me the first 5 under 4 runs in this one. And in our final game of the night, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the San Francisco Giants. Bryce Wilson and Carlos Rodon are your projected starters. Now, I do think the Giants are going to win this game, but that moneyline price is a little bit too out of hand, in my opinion. So again, I'm going to look at a total here. Bryce Wilson has pitched better recently. I won't say he's Cy Young on the mound. I'm not going to say he's been looking like an all-star, but last time against the Orioles, like I mentioned, a pretty good lineup against righties. Wilson went 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, only 1 earned run. It was 1 solo home run. Didn't give up a walk, and he's only given up 2 walks combined in his last 5 starts, which, if you're not giving up free passes, the Giants have struggled against righties themselves. You look at the last 30 days, and team OPS-wise, 27th in the league. Isolated power, not much better, 27th as well. The Pirates strike out a ton against left-handed pitching and really haven't had the best numbers against lefties offensively either. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. We see the lowest total on the board on Friday's card is 7. I'm seeing some 7.5s there, so you can shop your line, try to get the best number. But Give me the under in this Pirates-Giants matchup. I lean towards San Francisco on the run line, but not really a lot of value in my opinion. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday, August 12th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.